All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to us. We're here, episode number 278 of the Minding Your Business podcast, entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's still no business like minding your own. I'm your host, Champ Ron here, Ron Brooks here in great Memphis, Tennessee. You've probably heard some of the news that's been going on, depending on when you're listening to this, recording on Friday, November the 19th. And boy, it's been something going on in Memphis with some of the killings and the murder of rapper Young Dolph that took place in our city just a couple days ago. So we definitely have our hearts filled, and it just bleeds for his family, his wife, and his children, and the rest of his family connected with that. And so I've received some nice messages from those of you that obviously know that I'm in Memphis, and definitely appreciate those kind words. Subscribe to the podcast, 5-star, wherever you get your pods. That helps me continue to grow the Minding Your Business podcast and the MYB community that you all make up. And make sure you go to champ10k.com. That's where I've got several resources for you. You can listen to any of the episodes of the podcast. I've got other resources out there for you, particularly if you're in real estate, whether it's skip tracing, whether it's being able to pull and extract data. If you need a virtual assistant, whatever it is that you need, I likely got it on that link. So make sure you go to champ10k.com. Again, I just want to thank you guys for supporting the podcast. Again, with us getting the episode 278 is really dope, and really appreciate you guys rocking out with me. I'm very excited about a guest today. We were talking a little bit offline, and he's down in the Orlando, Florida area originally, and he'll talk about it originally, from Canada, and kind of the differences between the two was very interesting to hear, to say the least. But Marc Younger joins us today, and he is he's a realtor there in the Orlando area. So if you're looking to purchase or sell in the Orlando area, he's who you need to get in touch with, and we'll make sure that you can do that. Check the show notes, and you can get in touch with him and his team there. And he's also the owner of Home Theme Orlando, which you'll find very interesting. Make sure you go to homethemeorlando.com. homethemeorlando.com. It's in the show notes. Make sure you go there to check it out. And, as you learn today, I think you're going to find some opportunity. And what we like to do, of course, here on the Minding Your Business podcast is share the information. So even if it's not a fit for yourself, Marc may be able to help one of your friends or one of your family members or one of your loved ones. And what better way in this season of Thanksgiving and in this holiday season to be able to share a resource with someone else that could be beneficial and is in positivity. So listen, Marc, my man, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you getting on with us, and let's get to it. What's going on?
Absolutely. Well, like you said before, I'm in my Florida gear, and I've got my Mickey hats, my Steamboat Willie hat
I love
on.
that. Steamboat Mickey. I've got
Steamboat
a Mickey
Willie,
house mat
Steamboat
too.
Willie. He was originally named Steamboat Willie in the first Disney cartoon. I guess it was kind of an animated short.
Yeah.
And I've got my my kind of pineapple shirt here.
There you go.
And I have a mango margarita, so I am a happy man. So I live in the Florida Friday life. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and it's here right now.
Yeah, there you go. And I think Mickey just had a birthday this week.
So actually we are celebrating at Disney World. We are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Disney World this year, and it is a huge celebration over here. And Disney is milking it for all they can. So you can get your hats and shirts for $49.99 with the 50th anniversary commemorative stuff. But I mean, seriously, there is a Disney community around the world, more than any other company that I really know, except, I don't know, on the par with Apple, know, and probably more, because let's be honest, there's kids and there's families and there's everything. So Disney just has this following all around the world, and people are just flocking to this place for like their Disney 50th anniversary commemorative stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yep, no doubt about it, and definitely happy birthday to Mickey Mouse, a guy that never ages. He looks great. For if the guy's is 80 years old or however old he is now.
How does he do it? Yeah,
Yeah, those mouse genes.
yeah.
Uh, so, hey, Marc, let's talk a little bit about yourself, man. Tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you came up, and how you end up getting into real estate. I'm always curious when people get into real estate, how they find their way there, because I think out of all of the industries, I think one of the most unique ones is real estate, that people come from so many different walks of life, right, man, and to get there. So what's kind of your story with that?
Absolutely. So I grew up in Montreal, Canada, and I went to school there and went to college, went to university, met my wife there, and then eventually we bought a duplex. We lived in the kind of house hacked, as they would say these days, basically lived in the bottom and was having a rent on the top. And then eventually moved out of that, sold it for a pretty good profit, was able to buy a fourplex
Wow.
in Montreal as well. And then I was living in my own home and then basically had four renters. And that went well for a while. And at some point, I came down to vacation somewhere around 6 years ago. I came down to vacation to Davenport, Florida, which is just about 20 minutes. It's actually where I live now. It's 20 minutes south of Disney World. So I can get to Epcot in 18 minutes. So it's kind of fun. I can go to Disney World anytime I want, which is great. And with children, I was talking to you about this earlier. Basically, Montreal is an amazing town when you're a 25-year-old or an 18 to 25-year-old young man. You've got bars, restaurants, and all kinds of entertainment there. But when you're a 40-year-old man with 5-year-old, 6-year-old children, bars and restaurants are not really your thing anymore. Now you're looking for entertainment options to entertain those kids that are like, daddy, 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 daddy. Right. So as my kids were like 5 and 6, I was like, man, all we do is like when it's minus 18 degrees in the middle of crux of winter, all we can do is go to the trampoline place or go to the mall. Or the trampoline place or the mall. And I was just kind of like, is this life? Like, just, is this what by the rest of my life's going to be, go to the trampoline place and the mall over and over and over and over. So we basically took a decision. We came down for a vacation. We're like, oh my God, like it's the middle of January. And we came down for a month and we were like playing baseball with my children in the middle of January, which for anybody who's from Montreal, just, you cannot do that. You're throwing snowballs at each other and you're shoveling the driveway. So I went from like really the sky getting dark at like 3:30 in the afternoon to like the sky getting dark at 8 at night and being able to enjoy the life until 8 at night instead of 3:30. And being able to be in like right now it's 80 degrees today. It's 75 degrees. I mean, in Montreal, my mom was like, oh yeah, it's like minus 12. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but like basically they can't do anything. They're basically stuck inside. And especially with COVID, oh my God, that got 10 times worse. And like people are like, so are you allowed to hug each other anymore? Like we're on a hug lockdown. We're not allowed to see people. And with the weather, we don't go out, we don't do anything. We stay in the house and we're going crazy. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I mini golfed and went to Disney today. So so I wanted that life for my family. And I basically took a big plunge. I mean, we sold the fourplex, we sold the house, we sold my financial advisor business, and we just took all that money and came and moved down here. And of course, with the Canadian dollar, we exchanged all of our monies for very little monies, which was always fun,
Of course.
As Homer Simpson says, I had 3 monies and then I had 1 monies.
That's right.
So thanks, Canadian exchange rate. Thanks a lot.
Right.
But it was worth it in the end because I came down here, I invested in some properties down here in Florida, and I found a niche. And I think that is what changed my life, is I found my niche. And so I started investing in mortgage notes, which ended up not being my niche, but I ended up buying some mortgage notes and thinking I could scale that business. And I realized soon after I had moved down here on the promise that to the government that I would like get a visa in exchange for, you know, hiring a bunch of Americans and bringing this business to $1 million business, that wasn't going to work out because it's not a business that's easily scalable.
Sure.
So I spoke to a realtor and I said, hey, I could market. I live in the Airbnb capital of the United States, in Orlando, because of course with Disney World, that we are the tourism capital of the United States.
Right.
And we have, you know, up until 2019, we had 75 million visitors per year, and we're getting back to that level again now. So basically I was like, well, if I live in the mecca of vacation rentals, I should probably get into vacation rentals. And so I did about a year of, and then of course COVID happened. So I was like, I'm going to do vacation rentals. And then it was like 2 months later, it was like COVID. And I was like, oh, like my timing could not have been worse.
Oh my goodness.
So basically I had to survive. I basically had to do some local real estate for a couple of years. So I used Opcity and Ojo and some things like that, but they take a big chunk. So, you know, you're selling a $300,000 house and you're getting a, you know, $6,000 commission, and then they're taking a big chunk of it, and then your broker's taking a chunk of it, and not much left of it in the end. So I came up with the idea. I said, no, I'm going to find a niche. And I was in the middle of the vacation capital of the world. So I started putting together a presentation for investors and told them how awesome investing here and being able to buy properties would be. And then I realized that the best properties were the themed properties. So people will pay $200 to stay in a 6-bedroom house near Disney, but people will pay $600 a night to stay in a super themed house with Disney, you know, type of stuff in it. Airbrushing. It could be, you know, if they will stay in a pirate house or an underwater house or a, you know, princess house or whatever, something really cool and fun themed, Disney or not, they will pay much more money to stay in something cool. And it's kind of like what Disney realized, right? People will stay in a themed Animal Kingdom lodge house. They'll pay $500-600 a night for that. Whereas if you're staying in a Motel 6, you'll want to be paying $79 a night.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's the same concept with the theme homes. So I basically got into the theme homes, and now I'm the realtor. I suggest for people to buy good investments down here that will give them really good return. And then I am the themer, and then I refer out the property management.
Yeah. Excellent. That's a very interesting process how you broke that down. And you know, your transition, you know, we were talking about that a little bit offline, Marc. Your transition was just interesting coming from Montreal. I've got a business partner in he's outside of Toronto, Cedric, and he talks about the weather up there all the time. And yeah, of course, you know, up there has been on lockdown for so long, and you know, that sort of thing. So you're right, it's been driving him crazy as well.
November 8th actually was kind of it was my children's birthday. I have twins, as you know, and it was also transformative for our industry down here, because the Canadians and the Europeans now can come down, and the more we go, the more they're reducing. Now you, as of this week, you won't have to do a PCR test, you know, the nose swabs, to go back to Canada. So if you are vaccinated, you can come down here to Orlando, do your vacation, and come back up. And that was what was stopping a lot of people. They were like, oh, at first you had to quarantine for 14 days if you went back. And people were like, well, I've got a job. I can't take 2 weeks off. Right. After my 2-week vacation, now I've got to take 2 weeks off. My work will not allow that. So I cannot come on vacation. So now that you don't have to quarantine for 14 days, that is helping a lot of tourists come take the decision. Hey, I've been stuck in my house for 2 years. I want to come take a vacation. And then now that you don't have to do some people are paying $250-300 for those swab tests. And so now you don't have to do that either. If you're fully vaccinated, they'll let you go in and out. as you wish. So that is helping a lot. And then of course, not restricting the countries anymore helps a lot as well.
Yeah.
So we're figuring to probably have a huge boost in tourism here in the next 6 months, as people don't have to have those restrictions anymore.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you, Mark, it was interesting is I took my family down in June. So beginning of June, we came to Disney. It's my daughter's first time going, all three of them. And we just had a ball. But I just noticed because I had been, several times, recently, and then as a kid, and my wife had too, and just noticing, like you mentioned, the crowds being not as, not near what, it was crowded, but not near what it had been. And like you say, that those are great points, and school being back in at that time, as well for many across the country. But that whole impact of just the pandemic and that sort of thing, and kudos to you and kind of your team for being able to quickly pivot. I mean, the ultimate wrench gets thrown at you with a worldwide pandemic so as you try to launch your business there. But you thinking on your toes, and I think that's something good for people that are listening and watching this is your ability to kind of quickly pivot after having this approach and this dream, and bring your family there, and then boom, again, that ultimate hammer gets laid down, and now you gotta figure out what you're going to do, and you stayed close to the industry, kept working at it, and now you've got a really neat, cool business. And I want to ask you, how do you determine what's a good investment, or what makes a good kind of short-term rental like that you can come in and theme? What do you look at, or when you're advising an investor or someone listening to this that says, what, I've got a place down there now, I'd love to talk to Mark about doing something, or hey, I haven't thought about that, I've got a little chunk of change over here, instead of the stock market or instead of baseball cards or whatever I've been doing, let me do this. How do you advise them on what makes a good investment?
Well, the first thing, I guess, is the budget. And is also what is their goal? Some people want a place in Florida, and that's as far as they've gotten. They're like, I want a place so that, when I come down on vacation with my family, I'm not paying rent. And then the rest of the time when I'm not there, I want somebody else to rent it.
Yeah.
So that's usually the first thing that we get. But then it's just about budget. But if the Americans only have to put down 10% on a second home, so we can, even though this is an Airbnb, we can call it a second home, and you can pick something up and only have to put down 10% plus the theming. So what I realized, I worked for a broker in real estate that was a property manager, and I realized something. I was like, I want to see for an example, for my investors, I want to see our best properties. And this was a property manager that did not believe in theming. So they were like, we just, get people who've got regular old houses, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom houses, and we just property manage it for them. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? And they're like, $35,000 a year in revenue. And I'm like, once you calculate your mortgage, your HOA fees, your taxes, I'm like, all of your people are losing money.
Right.
And even the ones that are breaking even are just breaking even.
Right.
I'm like, that's not an investment. That's losing money. So I realized I had to change it to, somewhere. I changed to EXP, and basically I wanted to find, I want to explain to investors that really the difference in Orlando, it's not the same in Memphis, it's not the same other places, but in Orlando, land of Mickey, the difference, people will pay for an experience here.
Right.
Like the example of, people will pay $100 to stay at, one of the lower tier Disney places. They'll pay $150 a night for a little hotel room, but they will pay $600 a night. And the perfect example of the whole thing is they'll pay $2,300 a night to stay at the Star Wars Galactic experience.
Yeah.
if you give them what they want, they will pay.
They'll pay, right?
Like, you're literally, when you go to the Star Wars Galactic Experience, you're getting a 300 square foot hotel room, just like at Motel 6. So why are they paying $79 or $150, whatever it is these days, at Motel 6?
Because Chewbacca's not there.
Yeah, but they're paying $2,300, right? So my thing is the same thing, just on a different level. It's like, why are people willing to only pay $100 to stay in a 1996 house with 3 bedrooms in Davenport?
Yeah.
And yet they'll pay me $600 a night to stay in a place that has a princess castle in one of the kids' rooms, and we've got a pirate ship in the other room.
Yeah.
And we've got, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what it is, right? Like a Toy Story room or a Marvel Avengers room or whatever.
Yeah.
But they'll pay us $550, $600 a night, and they will pay $1,500 at Christmas to stay in those rooms.
Wow.
Why? Because they want an experience.
Yeah.
They're coming for a once in a lifetime or a once in a year experience, and they are Disney fans, and they want their kids to have fun.
Yeah.
And they also are smart parents, right? You and I are parents.
Yes.
If we stay in a boring hotel room, what happens, right? Mom, dad, mom, we're bored. Now, if you have them stay in the pirate room, you and your wife can be having one of these and actually enjoying your vacation.
Yep. Over, by the pool. You
could be at the pool or the hot tub, and you could be getting your feet in the hot tub, talking to your wife, and the kids are not bothering you because they are playing in the pirate ship room.
Right.
So your experience is exponentially better.
Right.
Because, and you can get one of these places for $450 a night. And here's the thing, a 6 or an 8 bedroom home, right? Right. You and your brother and your best friend and all of their families, right? You can be 16 people in one of these 6 or 8 bedroom homes, and you guys can share the cost. So $450 a night becomes $150 a night. And for $150 a night, would you rather be 3 hotel rooms at a Motel 6, or would you be rather staying at the Pirate House?
Right. There you go.
With a pool in the back and a spa in the back and a barbecue and a kitchen and a whole house and a pool table and an arcade, or would you rather stay at Motel 6 for essentially the same price?
Right. Absolutely. Mark, let me ask you something. So a pushback that came up one time when I was looking at this, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but they're probably listening. A pushback was, well, if there's a maintenance issue or something like that at one of these rentals, there's no, is there going to be anybody to call? Like, who's going to come see about us, or the shower, knob doesn't work? By the time they get to us, we'll be leaving. Right. What would you say to that kind of rebuttal with something like this? Because they're comparing it to, obviously, in the hotel where they feel like they'll call the front desk and someone's going to come right up in a few minutes and address it, and there's someone to kind of hold accountable, I guess, so to speak. And so how do you compare and contrast those two kind of mentalities?
Well, that's a very good question. So it's a very simple answer. You hire a property manager here. There are a lot of them, and I use one in particular that I'm very happy with. But again, once we get into the conversation with that person, I would tell them, look, I'm boots on the ground here. I use Florida Magical, floridamagical.com, as my property manager. Does a great job, and he is boots on the ground here, and he takes care of everything for you. So when the client, so let's give an example. Can I share my screen?
Please, let's do it. For those listening to the podcast, you'll have to switch over to YouTube so you can see what Marc's going to be showing. But we're getting ready to go through a presentation here. Oh yeah,
I'm gonna
look at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example. So this is my investor's guide to Orlando. So let's say you bought this house, okay? And I'll go into the specifics later, but essentially you get this house and you put in this case, Florida Magical, in charge of taking care of everything. So they will take care of taking the photos once we get the theming done. And whether it's this little house here that I'm showing or another house, once you have your house, we theme it, we take the pictures, we put it online, and they have software that doesn't just put it on Airbnb. It puts it on 75 different websites. So you are going to automatically be in Korea, in Canada, in Brazil, in China, you name it, they're going to be able to see your property. And that's very important for rentals. Now, in exchange, they will take 15% of the rentals. But when you don't have to take care of any of that, it's a very easy decision to do. And they will take care of the cleaning ladies. So after every week, the cleaning ladies will come and they will clean everything, and that's charged to the client. So that doesn't cost you a thing. And on top of that, they will take care of the reviews, and they will take care of responding. Oh, thank you for the 5-star review. Glad you enjoyed it. Yada, yada, yada. They will also make sure that that if there's anything that you mentioned, water heater breaks, or, the client, broke something, or we had a client, one of their kids stole our Nintendo Switch. I mean, it happens. And we're like, excuse me, you may have our Nintendo Switch. And at first they were like, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. We're like, no problem. We will make a police report and we'll figure out what happened. And they're like, oh, can we meet you at 10 o'clock and bring you back your Switch? And we're like, oh, look at that. Now, if you're out in Memphis or wherever you are in the world, you're not going to know that the Nintendo Switch isn't there. But after every property, after every client leaves, we have a manager that goes in and does inventory. So they make sure that there's enough forks and enough knives and enough cups and enough plates. And they make sure that the property is looking good. And the cleaning ladies will go in and make sure that all the beds are made and all the new soaps are there, and just like a hotel. So you don't have to worry your little head about anything. And they take care of absolutely everything.
Excellent. Yep. Excellent response to that. And very true. And so I just wanted to put that out there because some people may have that question, of course, Mark, and have those concerns when they're comparing the two.
And just to be clear, just to be clear.
Yeah.
So the property, the number that, when they rent, they take care of giving them a security pass to get into the gated community. And they take care of saying, hey, if you have any issues, call us at Florida Magical at 1-800 blah, 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 blah. And then they call that number. And, if there's a water heater that's down at 2 a.m, they'll send the handyman at 2 a.m. Or if it's not an emergency and it's just like, hey, the pool's not warm enough, they will send somebody the very next day and fix that. And you don't have to worry your little head, because I don't want to get that call at 2 a.m. You don't want to get that call in the morning at 2 a.m. But that's what you pay them for, is to get that call at 2 a.m, take care of the client, reassure the client leaves a nice review, and everybody's happy.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. No doubt about it. What about like transportation to the parks, right? To the Disney parks and Universal Studios? Another question that comes up with something like this, Mark, is, well, if I'm going to be, 15 minutes away, say, from Disney or from one of the parks, then I got to drive and I've got to be paying for parking and I've got to be, doing all that type of thing. What's kind of the response to that, or kind of the mitigate for that, for someone or for families that are going to be going to the different parks? Is there?
Well, let's be honest, but when we've got most of the families that are coming to rent the type of properties. So you were asking me, Ron, what properties work best? I mean, it depends on a person's budget, but let's be honest, the more rooms, the more you can charge, and the more you can get above the HOA and all those other fees. So for me, it's all about how much revenue you can bring in. So if your fixed costs are X, let's say 30 to 60,000, depending on your, including your mortgage and your 15% and your HOA and your taxes and everything, you need to rise above that to make profit. So I usually suggest, well, the way to make that is, the more rooms you can get, the more people will pay.
Right.
For a 2-bedroom condo, people will pay $100, 150 maybe. But if you get an 8-bedroom home, people will pay $550 a night. And
Yeah.
that's where when you multiply it by 300 nights a year, where you can start to make big bucks.
Yeah.
So, but not everybody has the budget for that. So, we have to see on the spectrum where they land.
Yeah.
But bigger is better here. And I would say that towards that question, some of the resorts, if that is a concern for the investor, some of the resorts do, like Reunion Resort here, has a shuttle to the Disney parks.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of the other resorts here have a shuttle to the Disney parks. Now, the reality is that most families will have to come from the airport. So if you're a 12, person vacation family,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to take 3 Ubers to
Right.
get to the home. You're probably going to rent a transit van, which is what we see a lot here. Here we tend to get a lot of Latino and African American families because honestly, demographically, they tend to travel in 12s and
Right.
16s, whereas white folk tend to travel in 4s.
Right.
It's just
It's
the way
smaller
it is.
families. Right. Right. Right.
It's just the way it is. It's just like, white families, it's mom, dad, brother and sister. African American and Latino families tend to travel in, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, friends and family, and cousins
Right.
and cousins and cousins. And so we tend to see a lot more of the larger families here. And they tend to get transit vans and explorers and large SUVs, and they rent them from Hertz and whatever, and they come from the airport. So transport for them is not a big deal because they have already they don't want to be getting 3 Ubers to go everywhere. So they will
Right.
literally get the larger vehicles and have accommodations. But if you want to accommodate those smaller families, especially if you're buying a 4-bedroom home or a 3-bedroom home, then you'll want to be potentially in a resort that will have a shuttle.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Marc Younger's our guest today. HomeThemeOrlando.com. Make sure that you go there. Again, it's in the show notes, MYB community. Make sure you go there and check it out. I've got the site pulled up myself, and it's Marc as well as his partner Josh. That you'll see there that are again, as you can hear, doing a tremendous job, and you talk about that experience, that's so critical in your business. And so I want to ask you, Marc, as there are people in different industries, right, that are listening to this, and that's such a big piece is particularly in this environment. I'd love to get your thoughts on this pandemic kind of environment that we're all in, is how people can create that experience in their business for their target audience. And you talked earlier about a niche. How do people determine their niche, right? Because you see so much, like there's so much information out there, and it's so easy to get caught with the shiny new object with everything. Every time something new comes up and evolves, it's easy. I think a lot of people get caught up in the chasing that shiny object. So, how can people kind of refrain from that and kind of stick to a niche to be successful? And then, have that spirit and mindset of how do I create the best experience for my target customer?
That's a really good question. For me personally, I thought I had found my niche in mortgage notes, and then I
Yeah.
realized that I, had made a mistake. And then essentially I wasn't a person that obsessively crunched over, Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. And I was more about the experience and about family. And, when I looked at myself, and maybe
Yeah.
this is what investors have to do, is kind of look at themselves and say, what do you think you're good at and what do you enjoy? Because don't forget that
Yeah.
whatever you make your niche is what you're going to do day in and day out.
Very
So
true.
I picked a niche where it was about intensive number crunching and legal documents. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And then I was like, oh God, I don't want to do that. That's not me. So maybe before you pick a niche, ask yourself, what do you want to do? What do you enjoy doing? You know, because some people like, oh, I want a bird dog for someone else. And they realize if you really look at it and you go, is that really what you want to do? Nothing against bird doggers, but like whatever you're deciding, that if you're wholesaling or you whatever, do a little bit of time out and kind of look at it and go, is this really what I want to do? Is this what I enjoy? Now, in my first niche that I thought I was in the right place, I was picking stuff that was counterintuitive to who I am. And when I picked my second niche, I love Disney. I love going to the parks. I love going to the water parks. I love entertainment. For my kids, I love doing stuff. I love going mini golfing. I love going to the Disney water parks. I love going to the Disney parks. I love that whole vibe that is there. So I'm like, I think that I have finally found, and I mean, look at my day job. My day job now is like, I get to make pirate houses. I get to make Toy Story houses. I can make Marvel Avenger houses. I get to make, when I look at that and what I used to do, number crunching over Excel spreadsheets, I'm so much more excited and having fun about what I do now. So before you get a niche, ask yourself the question, like, is this what I want to be doing? If you're flipping houses, do you enjoy flipping houses? Are you naturally talented in that? You know, or are you just doing it because you saw, like you said, Ron, this is the new, shiny jewel that everybody's doing. And then you decide, well, I guess I got to do that because everybody else is doing that. Or are you doing it because you're naturally talented at it and you naturally enjoy it? This is a life. We don't have that many years on this earth. Do something you enjoy. And it's true. If you do something you enjoy, it's not going to be that much work. I love going at the end and going, man, my artists, like, I got the client and my artists and my carpenters made this awesome thing. And it's super cool. And I get to go and promote these awesome resorts. I get to go into Lazy River with a drink and go, you guys should buy it, Champions Gate Resort and come have fun with this guy and I, and every, like, right now my job is literally today I was with an investor and I was showing them one of the resorts. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. I'm like, here's the Lazy River and here's the tiki bar. And I had to, for business purposes, I had to have a drink with them at the tiki bar. I mean, that was my job today.
There you go.
I almost had to go in the Lazy River and get my my swimsuit on and go in the Lazy River. I mean, that's a pretty cool job. So, do something you love, do something you enjoy. Don't just do something that's the shiny gem. I guess that would be my point.
Yeah, that's a tremendous point, Marc. It really is. And I think, that's helpful for all of us to think about, no matter where you are in your business is, like you said, if you look to do something you enjoy and look to innovate, even, with something that you're doing now, there's, ways that you can add enjoyment, to it and that sort of thing. But definitely seek to do what you love, because if you do that, it won't come off as work and you'll be very good at it. Versus something you got to labor over all the time, or you don't really look forward to, or you're like, oh hell, here we go again with with this again.
Absolutely.
And
it's tough. I mean, it's not always easy to get in the Lazy River and get in a tube and oh man, I gotta show the the Lazy River again, and I gotta show the surf simulator.
This 8-bedroom 6-bath house,
I know, right? So
in sunny Orlando.
I know.
Absolutely. Hey, Marc, as we kind of wrap up here, because man, this has been a tremendous dialogue, man, and I think we've been able to learn a lot from you here today. What's just kind of if there's one or two things that have really worked well for you, in business, that you think could help someone. So, when they get done with, listening to this, episode and listening to this great conversation we're having, man, what's something they can take with them, that they can be just a little bit better?
Well, I would say find your niche. Like I found my niche. Would you permit that I show the screen there
Yeah, please.
so I could show people a little bit what I do?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
I would say my thing is all about as I mentioned before, find your niche, because if you find your niche, see, I was a realtor, a regular local realtor, and I only had 1 or 2 years experience in the local market, and there was other people that were beating me out to listings and to clients because they had 25 years experience. But
Yeah,
then when I found my niche in the theming, there was not that many people in the high level theming space. So
yeah,
all of a sudden I got to be the top dog within a very little short amount of time. I found people that were excellent at what they do. I found the um, top artists and top
yeah,
carpenters, rather than find mediocre people that are like, yeah, like when I interview people for the job of artists, of scenic artist or scenic carpenter, if I ask them questions and I say, hey, are you good at this? Are you good at that? And they say no, but I can learn. They're not at the level that I need them to be. I need them to be at the top level, and be the top of what you can be. And the way to do that is to be in a niche. Find a niche and be the best at that niche. Don't try to be the best local realtor in Orlando necessarily, because
yeah.
there's 50,000, like I don't know what the number is, but
Right.
there's 50,000 realtors in Orlando, and they'll say, well, I've got 25 years experience. And here's Mark with, like, when I go on Facebook and somebody say, hey, I need an Orlando realtor, and
Yeah.
I go, I have 2 years experience. And they'd go
Right.
like, I've got 25 years experience and I'm a multi-million-dollar seller. And
Right.
they'd pick the other realtor, right?
Right.
But then when I come into my niche and I'm like, they're like, hey, I need some theming done on my house. I'm like, here's what we've done, and here's some examples of what we've done. And
Right.
then nobody could beat me in that space. So am I screen sharing here? I think I am,
Yep, you
eh?
are. Yep, you are.
Okay. So if you see, like, we've done it, and not everything is Disney. I mean, we do some Disney stuff and we do some pirate stuff that is, just really cool pirate stuff, or we do really cool space stuff, or, you name the theme that the client wants, we'll do it. But just for some examples, I mean, we've done anything from this to a working AT-AT walker, just depending on
Oh,
what the
wow.
client wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so usually we'll do something like this. Like we try to
Like
do
an
4 bunk
Avengers theme.
beds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 bunk beds. And of course, with slides, so the kids are having fun.
Right.
We've done tunnels in the room. So to go from one room to the other, we'll make
Yeah.
a little tunnel for the kids to be able to climb through.
Oh man, that's
And they'll
cool.
be able to go from like the girls' room to the boys' room or whatever it is. And they'll be
Yeah.
able to just like have fun. Or we'll do we did, like, for example, an underwater pirate theme, and then we did like a kind of an island Moana theme. So the kids were able to go from it's kind of like they were diving underwater to go to the underwater pirate room, and then
Yeah.
they were diving up to the other way, going up to the island. So
Yeah.
if you do interactive stuff like that, kids will just, if kids can have fun, kids are
Yeah.
going to look at the Airbnbs and go, I want that one.
I
And
want
then
that
the
right.
parents are going to go, I'm getting that one.
I'm getting that one.
So
Right.
that is the point. So
And the
here's some Toy Story stuff that we did.
what's
Yeah,
cool
go ahead.
about this too is that and one of the complaints parents always have is that nowadays kids, Mark, and we know this as parents, all they want to do is sit and look at an iPad all day, right? And this is kind of getting back to like you and I's kind of childhood, where you get a chance
Yeah,
to be active and play, and that's the whole thing. I mean, what's the whole point of going down to Disney just so your kid can sit there on the iPad? You can do that at home or anywhere. You probably
yeah,
did that on the whole ride or plane ride over there anyway. And so you just don't want to invest in this experience time, like you said, where all you're going to do is just sit and look at a screen, right? And this allows
absolutely. So
kids
like
to
my
interact.
kids are like my VPs of like entertainment, I call them. Like, like I'm like, well, let me consult my vice president of entertainment. Hey,
That's
Cole
right.
and Penny, what do you think? And they're like, this room is awesome. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, I think we should do this room.
There
So
you
like
go.
take an example of like this Minions room, where like kids are just gonna play and play and play and let their imagination run wild.
Right.
Like then they're out of the parents' hair. The parents can have a great vacation. The kids are having a great vacation, but you can kind of separate the two. And then, with the arcade games or the other entertainment stuff that we have. I mean, we're looking at doing like blacklight mini golf now and stuff like that. So basically, you could send the kids in the garage and go play blacklight mini golf and let mommy and daddy make dinner, or have a glass of wine, or chat with uncle and auntie, or our friends, or whatever it is. The
Right.
adults can have their time and they can
Yeah.
enjoy their vacation, and
Absolutely.
that is worth its weight in gold.
Right.
One thing is that with Disney, like, you'll see a lot of parents, because they're coming on Disney, they try to maximize their vacation. And so they're like, okay, at 8:30 we're gonna do Peter Pan, and then we're gonna run off to It's a Small World, and we're gonna do It's a Small World. Then we gotta run off to this, and we gotta run off to that. And mommy's got it all planned out to the second. And what they don't realize is by noon the kids are crying and they're exhausted and everything, right?
Right.
So you want to give them an oasis that they can come to, and they can actually relax, and they can
Yeah.
actually have fun in. And kids, go in the pool, kids, go in the Minions room and just play, and let mommy and daddy chat with our friends or uncle and auntie. And that is just worth its weight in
Oh,
gold,
look at that.
because the
Yeah.
parents can chill. Yeah, we do like these MDF cutouts of and I have a new one of this as well that I've done. Magic Kingdom, Hogwarts. We just did the Tower of Terror. I have it on
Yeah.
my phone. So we did
Yeah.
one of Tower of Terror for teenagers.
There you
And
go.
it's just basically giving them a place where they can have an oasis and they can just chill out.
Yeah.
And that in itself is worth, the world, right?
Yeah.
Because people just want, especially this pandemic, people, especially, like, I talk to people in Canada all the time, and or the north of the US. They're in Michigan, they're in Maine, they're
Yeah.
in Quebec, they're in Ontario, and they're like, man, like, we are stuck under lockdown. We have no fun. We're stuck in the cold. Winter's coming back.
Yeah.
Or some of you are in winter right now.
Right.
Um, and I forget sometimes that we're in the middle of November, because
Yeah.
it's 81 degrees where
He's
I
right.
am. But
Rub it in, why don't you,
so
Mark?
I know, right? Like, I talked to my mom and she's like, it's -11. And I'm like, she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I went mini golfing and I went to Disney today. Sorry,
Right.
mom. So it's an oasis. People need it in this pandemic, and we provide it. And I think that it is an amazing opportunity for investment. It is an amazing opportunity to spend time with your family. Life is short, and spend time with the ones that you love. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a huge, huge thing for people, and enjoy life. If anything, Ron, I have learned that, life is short. You have to do what you like. For me, that was entertainment options and Disney and fun stuff with my kids.
Yeah.
And that's what I get to live every day of my life. And that's not what I was getting when I
Yeah.
was up north. And so a lot of people are moving to Florida. A lot of people are visiting Florida because they
Mhm.
get to enjoy life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great way to sum it up, Mark, because that's so important, right? And all the moving and shaking, the grinding and the hustling, that that simplicity of just having fun and enjoying life and maximizing the amount of time that we all have been allotted and given it's just so important. And so I want to encourage everyone to go to homethemeorlando.com. If you want to learn a little bit more about what Mark is sharing, and a little bit more about the company, and if you happen to be a real estate investor and you're interested in this, who else other than Mark to help guide you kind of through this process. And
No
as you
one
mentioned,
really.
yeah, there's that. Yeah, exactly. Because from a niche standpoint, there's no one there to really do that. So, and Mark can help you kind of from soup to nuts. That's great as well. He can help you, with finding the property and help you get through that whole process. And, gonna help hold your hand through that and make it easy for you. And then
And
creating your theme. That's
Ron, like somebody told me,
that's
right?
crazy.
It's a lot sexier to buy a Disney vacation rental home that'll make you good money than it is to buy a duplex in Kentucky. You know, like no offense to Kentucky, but people are like, you know,
shout out to everybody in Kentucky.
Yeah. It's like, what's more fun, like finding a duplex in Louisville or you know, finding a 10-minute next to Disney
duplex,
home.
in rural Kentucky that, you know, your mortgage is $800 a month, and then you're making $1,000, and you know,
exactly, and you're barely making any money, but you're doing okay.
At the end of the
You
month, you
gotta
get $7, and you know,
exactly. And I have done that, just to be clear. You know, I have done that kind of stuff. But man, it's more fun to have people pay you $500 a night to stay in your Disney rental.
There you go.
So,
yeah, that's hard to beat. That's hard to beat, Marc. Marc Younger is our guest today on the Minding Your Business podcast here, episode number 278. Listen, Marc, I can't thank you enough, brother, for sharing this, for your presentation, for your tremendous demeanor and just approach to the business, man. It's a breath of fresh air. I think everybody listening can say the same, and I definitely appreciate you taking time out for us.
Ron, next time we got to have you have a margarita, man.
Hey, there we go. Matter of fact, I know who to call now for next time when we come to Disney.
I'm your guy.
Yep,
I am your guy.
No doubt about it. So listen, Marc, enjoy the rest of your time, my friend, and we'll definitely be in touch. And I want to have you back on for a part 2, man. We can go through some other stuff and see some other things that you're doing, and just keep up. And I encourage everybody to support Marc and his company there at Home Theme Orlando.
And next time we're going to have pictures of Ron in his little swimsuit in the lazy river. So everybody's going to enjoy that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, except for being the swimsuit, but other than that, they'll enjoy seeing the property. That's for sure. So,
all right. Thank you,
brother.
Man.
All right, man. We'll see you. Catch you next time. And listen, that was Marc Younger, our guest here on episode 278. And that was fun, wasn't it? You know, it's good to talk with great people that are having fun while doing business. You notice Marc didn't say much about making money, right? I want to point that out to you all, MYB. You notice it wasn't about how much money he could make or get in the bag and all that type of thing. Everything he talked about was lifestyle. Right. And so think about that with your business. Sometimes some of you get so hung up in how much money you're going to make. And did I make the bag? And did I make this much or that much? And everything was about how you take care of your family with money. You notice Marc, through that whole conversation, very rarely, if any, talked about money. Right. Everything was about mindset, lifestyle, finding your niche, having fun, spending time with your family, real time with your family, not just, oh, we're there, but everybody's looking at a phone. Right. Everybody, spending time active. Right. And so I encourage you again, go to the show notes. Make sure you go to homethemeorlando.com, reach out to Marc there, and, let him know that you heard him right here on the Minding Your Business podcast. All right. 3 things that unite us all, no matter where we're from. Whether you're transitioning like Marc did from Montreal to Florida, or whether you're on the West Coast or wherever you are, there's 3 things that unite us. We all want to be a little bit better for ourselves, a little bit better for our families, and a little bit better for our communities. And if we can keep that in mind with everyone that we come across, man, we'll make this place a really great place. Listen, we're going to sign off episode 278. Champ Ron Brooks. Thank y'all so much. Go to champ10k.com and I've got resources for you, but you got to go check them out. All right. You got to take action. Take care. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Minding Your Business podcast. Entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own.